Okay, so welcome to this afternoon's panel. My name is Dr. Pandora Syperek. I am a Leverhulme Early Career Fellow here at the Institute for Design Innovation at Loughborough University, London, and also a visiting fellow at the Victoria and Albert Research Institute, the V&A Museum. And I'm one of the co-leads of the Gestation Annual Theme with the Institute of Advanced Studies. So I just have a few words sort of reflecting on the broader theme and on this specific roundtable on the topic of justice. So my original impetus to propose gestation as the next annual theme for the IAS was motivated by the current political situation, realities, in the wake of the landmark overturning of Roe versus Wade. This was back in 2022, in fact. And also extreme criminalization of abortion in Poland and several South American countries, and internationally, India, globally, the global situation, perhaps with the exception of Ireland, going in the opposite direction at that time. But also the current news items on the inequalities of gestational outcomes for people of color in this country, in the UK and the US and elsewhere, as well as continuing debates over population or, alleged overpopulation in relation to climate change. And so you can see how there are these clear overlaps between this roundtable and the last one on ecologies. So although I quickly discovered that many colleagues at Loughborough were doing relevant research, I think it's interesting to note that none of my co-leads, Dr. Eleanor Morgan, Dr. Emma Pullen, and Dr. Anna Christina Suzina, or myself are necessarily, I hope this is fair to say, experts in reproduction or medicine, or even the medical or health humanities, but have largely approached the theme from sometimes maybe oblique angles, and maybe I'm speaking for myself here, or speculatively, so that I think this theme has really been driven by curiosity rather than sort of mastery of a topic. And I hope that this has enabled us to approach the topic from diverse and expansive positions, which is the goal of the annual theme program at the IAS, and I think of the IAS and their programs more broadly. So I was told that when the theme gestation was first floated by the IAS committee, someone said that they didn't feel the topic was relevant to them. And I have to admit that my first thought was, oh, I bet that was a man. Yeah, sorry, hashtag not all men. But I realized quite quickly that, of course, it could have equally been a child-free woman, or someone of any gender who maybe does not have the capacity or the inclination for biological pregnancy. And so in whatever case, I have kept that voice in my mind as my co-leads, and I have endeavored to present a program that demonstrates how this theme of gestation has broad relevance, both within academia, different academic disciplines, but also to life on Earth. And I hope this is encapsulated by the subtitle of Bodies, Technologies, Ecologies, and Justice. So we now come to the final roundtable to reflect each of these sub-themes. We had fascinating roundtables on bodies and technologies back in November in the East Midlands campus, and of course this morning on ecologies. And again, I hope here that we can think justice in gestation beyond narrow biological categories or gender binaries, imperial or colonial political frameworks, and related social and epistemological hierarchies. So as my own research examines the closely interlinked histories of visual material culture and science, I want to introduce our panel with an artwork that puts the scientific gaze under scrutiny, as many of the talks this morning also do. And so this is an artwork by the artist Agnes ? Called Cyber Teratology Operation, and it's currently on view in the Venice Biennale and the Arsenale. And the installation features a body that is evidently pregnant and evidently trans, so transgender, but also trans-species and transhuman, inextricable as it is from the medical apparatus that is at once a surveillance technology. Via this technology, the body looks back at itself in a somewhat horrifying loop. And Questionmark's work puts a spotlight on the patriarchal biopolitics at play in the medicalization of both pregnancy and transgender. The installation problematizes both the perceived artificiality of the trans body and the presumed naturalism of pregnancy, destabilizing the taxonomies on which these conceptions are premised. As the curator Kostas Stasinopoulos writes, it raises questions about the insistence on coupling gender with reproduction that still lingers today and wages a war on the scientific control exerted over bodies undergoing their own processes of deterritorialization. So with that, I now turn to our wonderful panel of speakers who come from a broad array of backgrounds, including medical, communications, media studies writ large, political philosophy, and behavioral science that refers to Pragya Agrawal, who I'm afraid can't be with us this afternoon, but I think we will still have a rich discussion with the hopes that they may perhaps deterritorialize, and in some cases reterritorialize, gestation and its related facets of gender, sexuality, race, class, kinship, reproduction, and care, with the collective aim of gestating more just futures.